HTML tables allow web developers to arrange data into rows and columns. To add a table to an HTML document, use the table tag, and then to insert rows, use the tr tag. To add columns, which are table header, use the th tag, and each data or cell is defined using the td tag. By default, the text in the table head elements are bold and centered. Remember that the table header is defined using the th tag. So by default, the text in the header, that is the columns, are always bold and centered. By default, the text in the td elements are regular and left aligned. Examples of HTML table styling. If you want to add a border to your HTML table, simply use the CSS border property by saying border, then column, 1 pixel solid, then the color of the border you want to add. Let's say you want to use black, so you just put black after the solid. Then to add collapsed borders, that is, if you want to let the borders to collapse into one border, you use the CSS border collapse property. And to add cell padding, cell padding specifies the space between the cell content and its border. That is, if you don't want the text to be touching the borders, you want some space to be above the text, on the left side of the text, the right side of the text, and below the text. So you need to add padding to it. If you do not specify a padding, the table cells will be displayed without padding. You can set a padding of 15 pixels. To make a cell span more than one column, that is, if you want a cell to be longer than the size of one column, use the colspan attributes. And to make a cell span more than one row, you use the row span attributes. This is an example below. Table head colspan is equal to 2. So we are spanning 2 columns in this particular example. Run the following code in your editor. Just copy the code below and paste it in your editor and run it. In summary, you use the HTML table element to define a table. You use the HTML tr element to define a table row. You use the HTML td element to define a table data. You use the HTML th element to define a table heading. You use the HTML caption element to define a table caption. Use the CSS border property to define a border. Use the CSS border collapse property to collapse cell borders. Use CSS padding property to add paddings to cells. Text align to align cell text. Border spacing property to set the spacing between cells. Colspan attribute to make a cell span more than one column. Row span attribute to make a cell span more than one row. Use the ID attribute to uniquely define one table. So ensure that you copy this code, paste it in your code editor, and then run it.